Mountain towns across the country have a problem. Places like Summit County here in Colorado have even declared a full-blown housing crisis. So while it may not technically be a housing crisis everywhere, declaring it like that actually makes it so that you can unlock a whole slate of sort of legislative solutions. The pandemic-fueled real estate boom has made it really hard to buy housing or even rent property across the country. Housing shortages have led to worker shortages, which have made it really hard for towns across the country to operate at full capacity, making it really hard to hire teachers, nurses, and even police officers from Mammoth to Maine.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because this isn't just in mountain towns. So where I am in Bentonville, Arkansas, the median home price is now $600,000, which is crazy to me. I don't understand that. And then when we look in Telluride, I did a little search on Zillow and I put in, I want to see a home, condo, whatever, that's below $750,000. It only came up with 2 results.
Wow.
And these were apartments that were 265 square feet.
Oh my gosh.
For $500,000.
That's a hotel room.
It's literally, it's mind-blowing to me.
So, this is actually being caused by sort of a confluence of factors across the country. The pandemic drove up housing prices across the board all over the country. And when many people were freed up to work remotely, people started moving to these outdoor recreation hubs like Bentonville, Arkansas, like Breckenridge, Colorado. And that sort of created this big influx of people from bigger cities into previously lesser habited areas.
Yeah, and I think what's really changed in the last few years is mountain towns have always been expensive, especially when you think of the classic ski towns.
Right.
It's always been hard to find a nice place as a lifty. But who's really being affected now, it seems, are the people who make these mountain towns a community.
Yeah.
The teachers, the
absolutely.
firefighters, the artist, the longtime local who still skis in jeans. These are the folks who are really having a hard time staying in these places that I think they're the ones who made them so special. But it seems like the solution could be easy, right? There's a high demand for affordable housing. People want to buy it. Why can't we just build more housing? There, I solved it.
While the demand is high on developments like that, the profit margins are relatively low. The market incentivizes the development of big luxury condominiums, big hotels, because the profit margins are so much higher. So when new housing and new developments do get built, it technically usually doesn't serve the people who need it most right now.
And you know what else seems to be the problem is the amount of VRBOs, Airbnbs, vacation homes, all that space. So in Bentonville alone, I know for sure there's over 800 Airbnbs available.
Wow.
Exactly. So people who already own property can actually make more money renting it out on a short-term basis as opposed to renting it to a family, a bartender, even a police officer. I did a quick search on Airbnbs in Crested Butte and saw over 900 results. Check this out. So according to some demographic data, there are just over 1,100 total homes in Crested Butte. That means that there's only 200 houses that are actually for locals. While these numbers might be flexible, I'm not trying to cite them as hard and fast facts. If there is even a loose relationship between these 2 data points, that just means there's not a lot of space for people to actually live. And it means that most of the dwellings in Crested Butte are actually only available on a short-term basis.
Zoe, you've lived in the Aspen Valley for a while now. Have you seen the trickle down to where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually moved to Aspen in 2018 as a young journalist looking to get my start in a mountain town. And I actually had to live in a condemned building. I actually think we have a photo. Check it out.
Ooh, it's rough.
This was not the nicest place to live, right? When my next door neighbor would shower, steam from his bathroom would come into my apartment unit. This was my neighbor, not my roommate. So living conditions like these don't really incentivize people to hang around and invest in communities.
Yeah, so this is a problem, right? Both in ski towns, mountain towns, outdoor towns. What are people doing to solve this problem?
So some towns and some resorts are turning to really creative solutions. Saddleback, Maine, actually, that's managed by an impact fund, just recently resourced the construction of employee housing directly on the ski resort. So for only $130 a week, employees can ski in, ski out, and live directly on the slopes they work on.
That's super cool, but I'm pretty familiar with Saddleback, Maine girl here, and it is relatively accessible as far as there's land to build there. It's pretty rural. I can't see something like that happening in a place like Telluride, where I've also lived, where it's like they don't have any more land. It's a valley and the rest is conserved.
Yeah, that's a great point. But there are some really innovative solutions that we're seeing across the Mountain West. Some places like Aspen and even Deer Valley, the resorts are actually giving people free ski passes if people provide at or below market rate housing for employees of the ski resort. Some places like Summit County are incentivizing the building of ADUs and additional housing units, sort of like grandma units, to help like sort of drive down the cost of housing by employing these really low interest rate loans. In Vail and Breck, people can purchase deed restrictions from homeowners and developers to permanently limit the occupancy of a unit to people who are full-time employed by the county. So those are just some of the solutions that are being proposed right now.
Wow. Well, this situation is not going to go away anytime soon. We will keep you in the loop on what's going on here in Colorado. We'd love to know how you are dealing with this. If you happen to live in a mountain town or a town that's experiencing a big boom in housing, shoot us an email at tos@outsideinc.com.